Hello, welcome to the 1 to 11 podcast. We are the Three Counties' top squad building podcast.
Yeah, take that, all the other squad building podcasts in the home counties. We're above you.
I've just realised we're not in the Three Counties anymore.
No.
I moved out of the Three Counties 5 years ago.
We're
Northamptonshire.
Three counties adjacent.
Yeah, the top Three Counties adjacent squad building podcast. Take that, other podcasts I'm unaware of.
I mean, I'm yet to find another squad building podcast, so I'm just going to say it in the country.
Yeah. Find me another squad building podcast where you could walk to Northampton Town's ground. I don't know any.
I don't know any. No.
I could be there. 25-minute walk. Not at this time of night. That'd be crazy. It's pitch black out there. You're mad. But
plus, it's really hot.
yeah,
It is really hot.
I'd be walking there in just a pair of shorts. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants the mental image either.
There's no breeze.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, off the tangent. This is the 1 to 11 podcast where myself, Paul, and my brother John
Hello.
are taking a subject and building a football team around it. We're very clear with this. This is our opinion. It's not us saying it's the best. It's just from players that meant something to us from what we felt of football, what we experienced from football.
It's not categoric. It's a personal preference a lot of the time. It's not based on stats. It's based on feeling and a undefinable
X factor.
An X factor.
Absolutely. I mean, this is based on our experience of football. So, my age, I am a 33-year-old fat, bald man.
I am a 36-year-old fat, heavy man.
And for me, football, my earliest memories of football were the 91 FA Cup semi-final and that thunder bastard of a free kick from Gaza.
Yeah.
And I kind of fell out of love with football. It's almost like a lapsed fan of football.
I think so. Yeah. I've been a Laps fan for a while now, sort of keeping my ear in, but I don't love the game anymore. Until an Argentinian man arrived in Wembley and just turned my life upside down.
And once Becchio moved to Norwich,
I love Becchio. Don't remind me of when he left. But yeah, my first memories are sort of Gaza. I remember staying up late to watch Man United Barcelona in the Winners' Cup final, 91, 92. 91, bloody hell. But yeah, so our time sort of goes from 1990 to
2000.
Today. So, but yeah, what's today's theme, Paul?
We are going with the 1990s, and our last podcast was what we felt was the European team and of the 90s, and we're going for the non-European team of the 90s this time.
Okay.
So the idea behind this is we're very welcome to counter opinion.
We'd love to hear,
We don't want a dissenting opinion. I don't want you to just tell me I'm an idiot.
Yeah. Because why not? But yeah, if you have an opinion that's, actually, I think, Ed De Hoy, I don't know why he keeps coming up.
Let's say this way. If you think that Carlos Comini should be in the squad, despite the fact he didn't play at that time, but your opinion is that strong on Carlos Comini, get in touch.
Exactly, yeah. The details are all in the description of the podcast, wherever you're listening to. So yeah, get in touch, say hello, and
give us a lovely opinion about Brian Roy.
Yeah, if you get involved, we'd love to get you guys in on this and have your own 1 to 11.
We encourage guests. We had one, but the recording was so perfect we can't share it with you.
Yeah, it's kept in the vault for a rainy day.
Kept for personal use.
Yeah. There's a weird noise outside because we are recording with all the windows and doors open because it's about 50 degrees.
Yeah, we're recording this live from inside a furnace this week. So
Live from the core of the sun.
Yeah. We're oh, Breeze has just come in.
Oh, lovely.
So I'm gonna, with this being the 90s, I have to do a 4-4-2.
I've also gone 4-4-2 because it's the generally the go to unless I've got uh, sort of players I need to sort of dovetail in, but and generally it's because I can't think of fullbacks, which is generally the sticking issue. But here I have two perfect fullbacks.
I've got one great fullback, and yeah, another one who did play at fullback. Yeah.
Okay,
So I'm going to start with the goalkeeper, John, and I think there was one honourable mention I'd like to go with first, which is the Cameroonian keeper, Nkono.
I love Nkono.
Thomas Nkono.
Yeah, brilliant.
That good. Gigi Buffon named his son after him.
He inspired Buffon to become a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
A young Gianluigi was watching Italia 90 at home and was enthralled by this goalkeeper. So yeah, I love the story of him. Uh, and I was very keen that it doesn't just become when we say non-European,
South
we just
American.
become South American. But I have fitted other players in to get by that. But yeah, there was only really one person we could put in this team.
I've gone for Jose Chilavert.
I have also gone for Jose Chilavert, the Paraguayan keeper also from Vélez Sarsfield.
Yeah,
Which
just
is where he won lots of league titles.
a set piece threat from goal.
Yeah, he's once scored a hat trick.
I think everybody kind of looks at he had great free kicks. He was also a very competent goalkeeper.
He was a very competent goalkeeper who won a lot of trophies.
Yeah, just on the international stage, just had the problem of being Paraguayan.
Yeah, and actually since he retired, we no longer really see Paraguay on the international stage, which is probably an indication of how good he was. Because back then, they didn't really have many players either. So, but yeah, he became a sideshow, didn't he? Because of his freak. Didn't he hit the bar at the World Cup '98?
Yeah, he scored 8 times for Paraguay.
I love it. Yeah, as I say, took penalties for Velez and scored a hat trick in a 6-1 win. All penalties.
This is a man who 95, 97, 98 was voted the best goalkeeper by the International Federation of Football History and Statistics.
Yeah, he was the goalkeeper of the World Cup '98 team.
Yeah,
you know, yeah, I think we look back and you remember the free kicks and the penalties, but yeah, he was a really good goalkeeper. And it should be said as well, this is a time when there was a lot of great South American goalkeepers. You look at the Brazil team now that has Ederson, Alisson, but back then,
Taffarel and Dida.
Taffarel, Dida, Marcos was it not two?
You had Rogério Ceni, who was someone who he was a dual threat. He could score goals.
He could score goals, but yeah,
Chilavert was a step above.
he was better than that.
So Chilavert is the unanimous choice.
I have no arguments with Chilavert. So
going to right back.
If it's not the same person as me, then the next thing you're going to hear is us going outside for a fight.
This has two options.
Well, yeah, it does actually. It does because the Argentinian right back or right midfielder is a hell of a player.
But he just wasn't Cafu.
He just wasn't Cafu, who
the only man in history to play in 3 World Cup finals.
Yeah.
To play in, and when a lot of people get confused with the World Cup finals as in the tournament, the man who played in 3 consecutive
World Cup finals.
Yes.
The final of the World Cup. Yeah. played for uh, a very good Roma team, won the Scudetto.
So beat Arsenal
Oh yeah,
in the Cup Winners' Cup with
yeah.
Zaragoza.
Oh good, yeah. Yeah. Went to Milan, won everything possible there. Um, and yeah,
Just a man whose CV is littered with trophies.
and then was replaced by Dani Alves, who
One more.
one more. But yeah, I'll always
Not the
face it.
World Cup, though.
No, yeah, but yeah, Cafu was. He felt a bit like a prototype. Like there were right backs who got forward,
But they
but
were,
there were none that felt quite as marauding as he was, and as fit as well.
yeah, and he played until he was about 40.
He went.
And it was
He went.
still
Still
great.
great, but yeah, yeah, dual threat, attacking threat, defensively sound, brilliant player.
Absolutely. I think part of the reason Brazil did so well was that man.
Yeah, because uh, yeah, a lot of their defence was lacking, but he was brilliant.
So, left back.
Went.
This is going to be a 10-minute podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, it could be. And there might be bits where we disagree. So, but it's his international teammate. It's
Roque Jr.
Roberto
Sorry.
Carlos, isn't it?
Of course it is. The man who, he wasn't a left back, but he made that position.
He was a left back because he left Inter Milan because Roy Hodgson tried to play him at left midfield, and he didn't want to do that. So yeah, went to Madrid and
Won everything.
won
Repeatedly.
everything. Not as defensively sound as
Cafu, but when Brazil's formation at that time was a 2-8.
yeah, but yeah, offensively great. Sort of, I think his free kick ratio is very similar to like Ronaldo now. You remember the tournoi when the one against China in the World Cup. But I don't think he actually scored any in between those two go there. I think there was about 4 years between them.
I think he scored some amazing goals. There's a clip, there's this thing on YouTube. There's a goal he scored for Real Madrid which defied physics.
Yeah, he from the corner.
Yeah,
The swerve he could get on a ball is astounding, and he won a lot with Real Madrid.
yeah, he won everything.
He was part of that team that regained the Champions League after a drought of so many years, so long.
I also liked how lazy he made the Pro Evolution Soccer developers as well.
Oh really?
Roberto Larcos. Don't even try.
Yeah. Yeah. Eventually went on to sort of wind down the league. So Fenerbahce,
Anzi Makakala.
left them after I think
They stopped paying exorbitant wages.
yeah, and there was also incidents of racism against him.
Oh, at his prime was phenomenal.
Yeah, and at the time, I just can't think of a better left back.
Absolutely. And if you'd have asked any football fan, and even anything at that time, Roberto Carlos was the left back of that team.
Yeah, he's the player. The only left back that you'd want, and yeah, super player.
100% agree. So centre backs. I'm going to pick my first centre back, and I'm going to go outside of South America.
Ooh, so have I.
Lucas Radebe. We've picked the same team, haven't we? This is literally going to be a 20-minute podcast.
We don't discuss the team beforehand in case there's any.
I'll tell you what.
Any surprises?
Are you going to agree with my other centre back?
Go on.
I played for Valencia. Roberto Ayala.
Oh shit.
We've got the same defence. We've got unanimous defence and goalkeeper, haven't we?
I do have Aldair as a
I had Aldair as a replacement, but I had Ayala and I had
I had Ayala and
Cafu, Ayala, Radibi, and Carlos.
yeah. Okay, well,
Who you got left midfield, John?
well, should we discuss them because uh,
I'm talking.
Roberto Ayala, the start of Roberto Ayala, who
was just phenomenal.
yeah,
Absolutely phenomenal. That Valencia team, and everybody remembers the Kili Gonzalez, the Mendieta, this amazing mercurial midfield. They had a rock at the back.
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, brilliant player. Unfortunately, I thought as soon as I thought, oh, 90s defense, I was like, okay, I want Ayala. And of course, the first thing I think about Ayala is Dennis Bergkamp.
Embarrassing him.
Absolutely embarrassing him. But yeah, played for a, uh, a Valencia team that were just brilliant. Played for Milan. Sort of went around.
Napoli.
Yeah, you know, uh, just a superb player. And yeah, was a great, absolutely brilliant defender. It's very stylish, and uh, yeah, yeah. I just yeah, really loved that, and that was Valencia team that was sort of like my peak football years. I got into football, and then as I mentioned before, it sort of started really getting amped up after '96 and football, and then by yeah '98, '99, I just was hooked. Anytime I could watch football, I was watching football. It's luckily at Sky, I could watch
Everything went in.
Edge. Yeah,
You didn't have to pay extra for Spanish football. It was always on.
always on.
Jerry Armstrong or Michael Armstrong or
Jerry Armstrong, but as well, he was also because he'd been playing in Napoli and Milan. We'd seen.
I was talking to someone recently. I called him Jerry Adams. It's
Yeah,
not Jerry Adams.
no, yeah, Jerry Armstrong. Yeah, Jerry Armstrong. I thought, yeah,
The guy who scored against Spain and
Yeah.
then moved there and does the coverage for Sky. He's very good.
He died this year.
Oh, that's a shame. He was very good.
He was very good, and he's very loved in Spain. But yeah, we've seen him obviously. We're watching Italian football as well, and watching the World Cup. Yeah,
Because the '98 World Cup, obviously, Argentina. Ah, yeah.
oh yeah, it's so easy to hate them, but yeah, I mean, Ayala, I guess he's the Valencia team that the peak was in the 2000s, but
He was
he
phenomenal.
was still a brilliant player throughout the 90s. So yeah,
I think Lucas Radibi,
Radibi,
great player. People don't give Leeds enough credit for how solid they were defensively in the '90s.
well,
We have on previous podcasts because you're a Leeds fan. I've always had a soft spot for them, which is a United fan. I realise I shouldn't, but the season with George Graham, where
yeah, we scored only 27 goals.
Ravanelli scored more goals than you that season.
Yeah, but we were like he joined halfway through the season, and absolutely transformed that team. And Radibi was uh, transformational, really, for that. And that carried on. I mean,
Great in goal.
yeah, he did. He played in goal against Man United, only conceded one goal. But yeah,
He was solid. He was quick. You couldn't get past him easily. He had everything. And for me, if we're looking for non-European, and this is our opinion, if there's somebody else that you think deserves this more, and you think, well, this is just becoming a Leeds United podcast, maybe so. But Radibi was phenomenal.
he was great as a Leeds fan as well. Like he at the time he could have left. I think like 99, 2000. Like Man United were after him. Liverpool were really after him.
Milan were off.
Milan were after him. He could have been part of the Roma team. Him and Aldair.
Good lord.
That is a scary combination. you know. So yeah, brilliant player. Sort of, unfortunately, he was let down by injuries as he got older.
His knees just stopped working.
Yeah, um, yeah. Basically, the last 2 years, you rarely saw him. Uh,
But when he was on, my God, he was on.
I think there's a misconception as well that he joined with Masinga, the missed Phil Masinga, and actually they didn't get on. uh, it's just because we bought two South Africans at the same time. But yeah, uh, as it happens, Masinga flattered to deceive, and the DB became a
Club legend,
absolutely club legend.
club icon.
Yeah, inspired Kaiser Chiefs as well.
Absolutely. So he was phenomenal. And yeah, he when I was thinking of players from my experience of football, he had to go in.
Yeah, as I say, there's a personal bent to this,
Absolutely.
and
So
he was a player who sort of, when I was most into my football, was the best defender in the Premier League.
and also, I growing up in the '90s, I hated Leeds because you liked Leeds,
Yeah,
but I couldn't hate with either.
yeah,
So we would go into midfield. I'd like to start with my left midfielder.
okay.
I'm going for a man who had it all. Was quick, had amazing control, did phenomenal, had skill, had flair, scored, was a scorer of great goals and a great scorer of goals.
I know
Played
who
for
it is.
Deportivo and Barcelona.
Deportivo Barcelona and went to Milan.
Yeah, so we've both gone for Rivaldo, haven't we?
Yeah, of course we have.
Excellent,
But you couldn't pick anyone else
because
because
the guy was Barcelona at one point.
there was a. It felt like there was a 2 year period where he was the best player in the world.
Yeah,
That's how it felt. It
he was
offered,
World Player of the Year in '99, wasn't he?
yeah, um, yeah, just yeah, Ballon d'Or and what FIFA World Player of the Year when they were separate things. He 1999. I mean, yeah, he was brilliant. Um, I think he's probably still playing now, isn't he?
Yeah, he kind of never retired.
Um, Sort of ended up, yeah, playing in Greece.
Greece.
Uh,
He also played in Kazakhstan because he was one
yeah,
of the key players of the Kazakhstan league when it got money.
oh, there you go. He retired in 2014 and is now uh, he's a technical director and coach in Morocco.
Makes total sense.
There you go. Yeah,
When
World
he,
Cup winner.
not in the '90s, not a World Cup winner in the '90s, but World Cup winner 2002.
Yeah.
We're thinking of him in the '90s. Him in his '90s was the best. Him at
Oh yeah.
Barcelona.
The
Him at Deportivo. That Deportivo team don't get enough credit.
yeah, I mean, it's a sad state because they've gone down again, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're in the third tier of Spanish football, the local leagues, effectively. It's equivalent to the conference. Yeah, he's the ninth highest goal scorer in Barcelona history.
That's
And it's a concentrated time as well. He wasn't there that long.
and also you've got to remember he joined a Barca team that wasn't doing very well.
No, like his almost highlight was the overhead kick against Valencia,
Yes.
and that just saved them getting into the Champions League. So that was, I think, it must have been to finish third or fourth.
Yeah.
This isn't a team that was.
This wasn't the Rijkaard, Guardiola.
No. This is sort of the hangover from the Ronaldo leaving, and then various changes. They went from sort of Cruyff to Robson to Van Gaal, and they're very different systems. And
And
Ronaldo
they
had to be
and they
the person to pull it all
and
together.
they screwed over Robson. You have Cruyff, who, God forbid, you change Cruyff's system and you get sacked now. Um,
Yeah.
constant upheaval, constant change. And hey, should we buy another Dutchman?
Well, and that's it. I mean, I do worry. I worry for this team when the little Argentinian player goes because there is not a legacy behind, like there has been. So yeah, But that's a different subject.
Different friend of different time. That Rivaldo was phenomenal. So
Yeah.
I'd like to go into centre mid before we go to right mid.
Okay. My right mid is a little bit thumbed in.
There's mine.
I don't know why, because I could just pick Xavier Zanetti,
So
but I
have you
wanted.
gone for an Argentinian right midfielder?
I have not.
Thank God we're not going to agree on something.
Okay. So, do you want to go? Which do you want to go? Right midfield or? Oh, as we've got.
Well, let's go right midfield because we've already discovered we don't agree.
Okay. So, who have you got right midfield?
Ariel Ortega.
I love Ariel Ortega, and uh, just a my type of player, wildly inconsistent, hugely temperamental, just never lived up to his billing.
He's the next Maradona.
He's the I think he was the first person I saw getting that billing. I'm sure there were other people, but that was the first time I saw the next Maradona. And you can understand as well, they were sort of similar stature,
Played together.
yeah, but never really um, uh, materialized. He's sort of, but I love watching him play. He was exciting. He took players on, and just a wonderfully skillful man. And I almost picked him.
But who have you gone for?
I left South America,
Calm down.
and uh, once again, I mentioned it in the last episode, the European episode, and I've been watching a lot of World Cup '98.
Oh yeah.
And one of my favourite players in a game against Brazil, suddenly I'd heard about him before, and then the hype made sense. And it's JJ Okocha.
It was a Ortega or Okocha, and I felt Okocha was too thumbed in.
Yeah, he's not a right midfielder, but he could play across the middle. And I was just kind of really trying not to become
The South
a South American team. And I will defend JJ Okocha with my life if it depends on it.
JJ, if not that we get to a point where we're deciding the best team, but gun to my head, I'd go for Okocha.
We don't have to agree on the team here. This is
I went for Ariel Ortega because of when he was on. He was on.
Oh, he was brilliant.
But also, I liked him being a prick.
I'll say it. I've said it before. I say it again. I like a dickhead, and he was the crown prince of dickheads. Like, does he still owe Fenerbahce $11 million? Did he ever pay them?
I don't know if he ever did.
I doubt he ever did. But yeah, he was at Fenerbahce. Never returned from international duty. In February,
So
April, they made a complaint, and
one day after playing an excellent game in which he scored, he surprised everyone with another alcoholic episode.
And he was he didn't turn. I don't think he turned up until April. So this is February. He did have issues with uh, alcoholism throughout his later career. But yeah, Fenerbahce took him to court, and I think he ended up having to. They ordered the DRC Dispute Resolution Committee, FIFA.
Sound like fun people.
Well, it's FIFA. I'm sure they're legit. They ordered Ortega to pay Fenerbahce $11 million as compensation for breach of employment contract. They only paid $7.5 million for him, 9 if you include his image rights, which they bought off him. And he appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, and they dismissed it because they generally dismissed claims and feel and side with the uh, administrative organisations because they're the ones who pay for gas. So then they gave us a uh, 4 month suspension as
This
well.
this is like if I take my daughter to a reputable supermarket
Yeah,
and she asks me for a magazine and I say no, it's like her complaining to me that I haven't bought a magazine. I really wish you would. Let me think about it. No.
but yeah. So between 2003, effectively in 2004, he was at a club. Then she returned to Argentina. Uh, he was at Newell's Old Boys, Bobs. They're the Lepers. Um,
I think Ariel.
oh, and Newell's paid an unknown sum to Fenerbahce as compensation. Uh, so I think they got some money, and Ortega never paid them.
That's kind of, yeah. I liked him because he was just mental.
Yeah, and once again we mentioned Ayala and the Dutch game. Ortega in that game is sent off for headbutting Van der Sar.
When Van der Sar complained, he dived.
Yeah, because he died.
So he got a yellow card for diving. Headbutted Van der Sar, got a second yellow card. The game restarts. Frank de Boer makes that lovely pass to Bergkamp and they score, which knocks them out.
Yeah,
In a tournament, he'd gone there. He'd been given the number 10 shirt for the tournament. He was, yeah. He's my right midfielder.
yeah,
He defined the 90s for me. He defined Argentina in the 90s. So much promise, so little reward.
yeah. JJ Okocha, very different, quite a mellow temperament.
There's the clip of him playing in Germany, isn't there, where he basically Cruyff turns about 74 times in the box.
Yeah. Oh, he had all the skill in the world. And I mean, his best days, most notable days, not best days, but his for us, I guess, would be at Bolton in the early 2000s. But he was at Paris Saint Germain in '98, and he helped serve as a mentor for a young Brazilian uh, who called Ronaldinho, who I don't think had a bad career. It's a bit strange now. He's in jail in Paraguay, but yeah, wonderful player. And if you get a chance to watch the World Cup '98, watch their game against Brazil, Nigeria, Brazil. It's a fantastic game, and he is wonderful.
Absolutely. And you look at the Nigeria team from the 94 World Cup, where Okocha's there as well.
Oh yeah,
And there's some dross playing for that team. Although, Daniel Amokachi is fantastic on Instagram
who is he?
because I like WWE. WWE Network have their own account. Daniel Amokachi is one of the top commenters. I'm going to send you some stuff after this podcast.
He was part of the Olympic team that won
Yeah.
that won the gold at the '96 Olympics, and they became the Nigerian dream team.
Okocha was a fantastic player. Played for some good teams and was just yeah. Do you know what?
We don't have
agree
to find a consensus.
Well, we don't.
But two wonderfully gifted players.
So we're going to the centre. One player I'm picking who he looked like a potato with a goatee,
Okay.
which is Juan Sebastian Veron.
Oh, I do love Juan Sebastian Veron. I didn't pick him.
I think
Uh,
Lazio, Parma,
yeah,
just great. Really,
a
really
wonderful
great.
player. Absolutely wonderful player. And
I'll tell you the other thing I've done because I think I've gone a bit Argentinian heavy. I've also gone for a player as wonderfully creative and as skillful as Veron. You need an utter prick alongside him, and that utter prick is Diego Simeone.
I'm never going to go against Simeone, wonderful player and an utter prick. Um, yeah, I have. Here we are. We have some differences finally in our opinion.
Oh,
I have an Argentinian player, but not one of those two.
Maradona.
I have Fernando Redondo,
Oh,
uh, who I guess could be forgotten a bit because he never really made his name on the international stage because he fell out with Passarella, the coach. So I don't think he was at 94.
he was at 94. He didn't go to
He
98.
didn't go to 98.
Passarella wasn't the coach in 94.
Because Passarella uh, had a strange uh, sort of selection process. So he wanted players to have short hair, bigger. He banned long hair, earrings, and homosexuals. So sounds like a wonderful player. But actually, he was a wonderful player. Just and just a bit of a knob as a boss. So yeah, he Redondo was excluded from the '98 World Cup. Sort of when Redondo was um, maybe not as peak as a player, but peak as a getting his name known because of Spanish football getting out on Champions League becoming a much bigger tournament. And I think it was I can't remember which year it was when he uh, did the back heel against Henning Berg
Oh
to set up
God.
that wall.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Henning Berg still has nightmares about that today, I imagine.
yeah. It. I don't. We haven't really used the Twitter account, but I will. If you listen to this, I'll check it because I will put it on the Twitter account because it's one of the greatest pieces of skill in that sort of as a
He was
young player at the time myself. It's so inspiring to watch.
he's someone who you needed him. He was like he was an earlier Makalele for me, but slightly more
He
dynamic.
was more dynamic, skillful, but yeah,
You needed him.
he
Play went through him.
play went through him. I guess he was Madrid's
Xabi
version
Alonso.
version of Xabi Alonso or Guardiola.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, he was MVP in 2000 in the Champions League, where he was the UEFA Club Footballer of the Year.
He was a pivotal part of that Real Madrid team that was winning the Champions League in the late 90s.
Yeah, Madrid is nickname Madrid.
Oh, fair enough.
So they're,
You don't get that at Real Madrid if you're a bad player.
and actually, he in 2000 he went to Milan and basically immediately suffered a serious knee injury and didn't play for 2.5 years. And during that time he gave up his pay, uh, and uh, you know, you look at other players now, would they have done the same? I mean, I'm not gonna feel sorry for a person on a millionaire, like as such, but yeah, I absolutely brilliant player, and yeah, brilliant time from Madrid because he didn't want to leave, but they forced his hand. But yeah, wonderful player. So,
Yeah, do you know what? Great choice.
and the second one is very much personal because I loved watching him.
Okay, hit me.
Juninho.
Oh yeah.
Uh, was it the Umbro Cup where he first made his name?
95 Umbro Cup, which was basically, it just seemed like, let's get the Brazilians over. Let's watch It's like watching Brazil. Well, let's watch Brazil.
Well, it's because we hadn't done the we were hosting the Euro '96, weren't we? And
We had no warm-up games.
we had no warm-up games. We had to play these sort of teams, and yeah,
First glimpse of Roberto Carlos.
yeah, um, and yeah, from this,
And a man I'll also mention later.
the from the view of him as very sort of 21-year-old at Sao Paulo, I think it was. Um, the sort of cash-rich Middlesbrough team paid just shy of £5 million on him, which was a lot. And it's sort of
A bit like Joel Linton joining Newcastle last season. It's something that was a lot of money and very unexpected for a player to move to the North East.
it was, but unlike Jolinton, I think there was because we'd seen him in the Umbrella Cup.
Well, also he was playing for his country, which Linton wasn't. He was
Yeah,
he was doing very well in the.
we had these incident, and he was excited. And our auntie is a teacher up in Middlesbrough, and the day he signed, no one turned up to school that day because we all went to see Juninho.
His nickname was TLF.
The little fella.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he sort of came and went with Middlesbrough. Obviously, the first full season he was there. They went down, and so he then had a year in a couple of years in Madrid, didn't he? For Atletico. Came back,
got injured. They
yeah,
got relegated. Basically, went to a club that shouldn't have been relegated and got relegated. Went to another club that shouldn't have been relegated and got relegated.
yeah. But then, yeah, had a lovely second time at second and a third time at Middlesbrough, and yeah, that's when they won the League Cup, 2003, and just a wonderful little player, and um, never really the same player as he was in '96, when he first joined, but he was 22, and he hadn't had a massive leg break. But yeah, still a wonderful little player, and yeah, I love watching him. It's still exciting to see this little. He was so small as well, going past players. So 5'6".
I think I like those. They're personal and Juninho, yeah, but I, I I think they're really good choices. I love Veron. I was so excited when he joined Man United.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Veron when he joined Man United, I felt like that was a game. I thought, oh god, man, you're going to
Win everything
win
for
everything
you.
because he is amazing. He is an amazing player. Let's not kid. It just didn't work in England.
He just
I don't think they knew where to play him.
and also you can't play. It's very hard to play Keane, Scholes, and him
Yeah,
because you can't. The three don't work together.
he looked really good in Europe where he
Yes,
had more time, and I think the
aggression of the English league.
aggression of the English league and uh, you know, unfortunately he then he was sort of scapegoated for a bad loss against Leverkusen, where basically I think Berger played him up front. Um, um, but yeah,
For me, I harked back to the 90s and him at Parma, him at Lazio, and
do you remember Ferguson's quote? Basically, the media were questioning Vaughan's performances, and Sir Alex said, "He's a fucking great player, and you're all fucking idiots." um, um, but he will go down as a flop. You know,
it was Chelsea which was the disappointing part.
Chelsea was very disappointing as well.
Chelsea getting money, him going there and thinking, yeah, this is a chance to shove it up Man United.
Yeah, and last of the year.
But there was too many players there. There was too much upheaval and
yeah, but it shouldn't be held against him because he was a wonderful player.
And he showed that when he was playing in Argentina. I think he was like 40 or something.
Yeah, As well part of a really good Sampdoria team before
Oh,
that.
Sampdoria as well. I forgot
Yeah.
he was there.
And then he was there. Sven was his manager at Sampdoria, who then went to Lazio, who brought him along to Lazio for like 20 million quid.
Back where Lazio's plan was. Do you want him?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. There you go. And that team that won the Scudetto. But yeah, um, in the 90s, yeah, a superb player. But yeah, unfortunately, it's just a shame that his time in England didn't work because he. It's quite easy to call him a flop, and I guess he was, but he is a wonderful player.
Brilliant player. And
Yeah,
yeah, I I think because I liked him so much, I had to have Simeone there as the bastard outside him, and Simeone was just a throwback.
uh, his uncle played for Sheffield United.
Diego Simeone,
No, for one,
really?
yeah. So he dreamed of playing in England, and he dreamed of playing at Sheffield United because that's what his uncle did. And it was a quote. Yeah, I hoped to play for Sheffield United, and here I am at Manchester United. But yeah, Simeone, wonderful player, and turned out to be a brilliant coach as well.
Yes.
And yeah, we've mentioned it before in our Bastards episode,
Yes.
and very much a bastard.
Yeah, not much else to be said. And also, fantastic manager.
Just fantastic, man. Yeah, let's go back and listen to our Bastards episode, and we'll put more things to do down there because we've got the a bit now
The forwards.
forwards.
There was one unanimous choice. There has to be one unanimous choice. If we're talking 90s football, there is one striker.
Ronaldo,
Of course.
of course it is.
We've waxed lyrical about this man previously, but the key things for me is just the season at Barcelona.
Yeah,
Good lord. Good lord.
I mean,
The season at PSV before the 2 seasons at
well,
PSV,
the seasons at Milan, not
Real Madrid, and
yeah,
he was a player who before he had the injury at Inter, he was if he'd have been playing today with modern day conditioning, my God, what could have happened?
oh, I mean,
But for a man to leave the game as the top scorer in World Cup history, have 2 World Cup winners' medals, basically have everything other than the Champions League.
yeah,
Do you know what? That'll do. And he was great. And for strikers in the 90s, I remember FIFA Manager 97.
oh yeah.
The
Remember,
the cheats in that where you control ticket prices, but there was a minimum of one fan per game.
one person had to attend the game, so you just put ticket prices at £1 billion,
Yeah,
and one person paid it.
and there was one. Yeah, one. Basically, I remember getting you could ask for loans.
Really?
So I was Borussia Dortmund. I asked for a £22 million loan and bought Ronaldo with it.
Nice.
And then realised
I've got to pay this back.
there's one man who was going to pay £1 billion a game to watch us, and that poor man.
Yeah,
But yeah, he was so good. I mean, I'm not going to go on about it because the person I picked alongside him is a man I do want to go on about.
okay.
A little bit like Ariel Ortega.
You dickhead.
Not necessarily a dickhead, but a man who loved a nightclub.
I think I've picked the same player.
Romario.
Romario. I wanted to go with Batistuta. We've mentioned before.
Yeah.
And actually, Romario has won more in the game.
Romario is someone who's him at the Dream Team, him at PSV, him at
You'd have to carry him for 85 minutes. But then when he
when he was on,
when he turned it on, was an unstoppable force. And the '94 World Cup winning team was actually a really. I mean, there's no. We mentioned Aldair and Cafu. There's no attacking players, if you noticed, that have made our team because they weren't that good.
Beto was all right,
Beto was fine,
but
but
there's better
there's
players.
better players.
Romario being
I
one
guess
of them.
Ronaldo was part of that squad.
Didn't play a game.
Didn't play a game. But yeah, Romario
Was the reason Ronaldo didn't play a game.
well, yeah, brilliant player. Was not the top scorer, but was the best player at that World Cup. Yeah, and yeah, as a young player, as a young kid watching Barcelona on ITV for Champions League, and just was the best player to watch.
Oh, absolutely.
Just he's enormous for so long, and then he smells the goal, and he lights up, and he's got the stat that he scored over 1,000 goals, and I'm not sure how legit that is, but yeah, if he could if he could have passed a nightclub as well as he passed the ball, then he'd probably be a bit less boring, so a bit more boring even. So he'd be a bit less exciting. So I like that part of him.
There's a story that I saw recently through social media. I can't remember what it was, to be honest, where it was, but I remember what it was. It was the story of him. It was the story of him at Barca and him going to Cruyff. And I really want to go to the carnival in Rio. Really want to go to the Rio Carnival. Well, I can't really let you do that. We've got games. Tell you what, you score twice, I'll let you go to the carnival. So that game he scores.
Yeah.
Great goal. Scores again. Goes straight to the bench. Can I go now? There's a flight that leaves in an hour. Can I go now? Substituted off and leaves. Just an amazing player. Part of the reason Stoichkov was so loved by Cruyff was the fact that he kept Romario out the nightclubs.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Romario was just a threat.
Yeah.
And when he was on. He ripped Man United apart in the Champions League.
Yeah.
We've mentioned the Gary Walsh game previously. Or Gary Walsh.
Well, it's not just Gary Walsh. I mean, I've seen things where Steve Bruce is still basically haunted by that performance because it's not like
Bruce and Pallister didn't become bad overnight.
Yeah, no, they came up against a team who were
tactically drilled, sound,
so great, and they on their day could beat anyone, and it was their day.
I think the thing for us was Brazilian football was one of those things that we loved.
Yeah.
And Brazilian football was two strikers. When we first started watching it, we were on holiday in Ibiza during the '94 World Cup. And I remember Hagi, Stoichkov, Romario.
Yeah.
Baggio.
Brolin as well.
Oh, and Ireland.
As well, I forgot from the European team, I forgot Klinsmann, but I want to mention him because he was brilliant. Actually, we should have mentioned him because he was quite high in my estimations. But
yeah, he only won the World Cup and the European Championships and a couple of league titles. What else did he do?
Yeah, exactly. I just forgot to mention him at the time. But
one of the key foreign signings in the Premier League. Yeah, what else did he do?
What else did he do? Yeah. But
made Tottenham look credible in the '90s. What else did he do?
But yeah, and he said this is a personal choice of ours, isn't it? And that World Cup was really
pivotal in our fandom of football.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, definitely, huge reason I've got into football was watching Beto and Romario. And yeah, one day I'd love to see a really exciting Brazil team. And 2002, I think, is possibly as good as we've got.
I wanted Germany to win that match. I don't know why.
I did as well. I don't know. I don't know why, but actually, I wasn't sad when Brazil won because I love Ronaldo. I was happy to see him. But yeah, I 2002 is probably the only. Even then, they weren't great. And what a great Brazil team.
It was,
We
it
haven't had
was a Brazil team that had great players, but it wasn't a great team.
we haven't had like 1982, 1970. There's not been we're a few World Cups off them losing 7-1 in a semi-final.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, so yeah, we've got a Brazilian front line there, both of us, because I mean, there's
So basically, I've created for Argentina, Zil.
I have a couple of
With special guests of Chilavert and Radivi.
Chilavert, Radibi, and I've got a Kocha.
I mean, the other notable person I wanted to talk about up front, this is based on our experience, the other person who was so close would be the subbed in every game, George Weah.
Yeah,
We talked about him in the Italian 90s. And
we did, and I think that's possibly it. I saw a few years of George Weah, and he was great. Really was great.
top class.
I didn't see very much of him at PSG, where it got him that move to Milan, and as well, it's hard not to be swayed as well by his last days at Chelsea and Man City, where he was
Toilet.
a ghost of what he was. But
Had the George Weah retirement tour.
the George
Making
Weah
his way through the Premier League.
George Weah sort of 94 to 97. Obviously, he was World Player of the Year, wasn't he?
Yeah, 95?
95.
I'll check.
Yeah. Superb player. And of course, we mentioned Batistuta, who could walk into any team. But yeah, George Weah was third, fourth choice for me. I just couldn't go beyond Ronaldo and Mario.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He was just. Let me have a look. Yeah, FIFA World Player of the Year and the Ballon d'Or in 95.
Yeah, that was obviously. I think was that the year he ran the pitch.
Yeah, that was the year he made Vicenza look like a puppet.
Yeah.
There was there's some notable players who, I wanted to consider. I didn't, because of he straddled the 99 and 2000s. I was thinking I want to go outside of South America and Harry Kewell, but I just thought I'm not letting you have this Leeds axis on this podcast.
He wasn't there enough in the 90s, and he was only good for a couple of years in the noughties. So even if he did the noughties team, I think he'd struggle to get in. I think there's another Australian though who would.
Tim Cahill.
I was thinking Viduka.
Tim Cahill. John Aloisi.
But yeah, if we did a team of the 2000s, you could maybe Viduka could fit in. Probably not though, because there's quite a few good forwards in the 2000s. But
there's that Ronaldo fella again.
Yeah, but it might be something we do actually. We might come back to this and do a 2000s because there's quite a few players who are going to miss out on that one.
I think because of our love of European football and sometimes kind of football outside of Serie A, La Liga, Premier League, Ligue 1.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. But there's some fantastic players, there's just some fantastic football, and I think it's good that we pay attention to it. But obviously, let's just have a quick look. Chilavert, Cafu, Ayala, Radibi, Roberto Carlos, Rivaldo, Veron, Simeone, Ortega, Ronaldo, Romario. Chilavert was the only person to have not played in Europe. I think actually Chilavert played in France.
Did he?
Let me just double check.
I think he did, didn't he? Was he? I can't remember what team.
Real Zaragoza
Real
and
Zaragoza.
Strasbourg.
And yeah, Strasbourg. I knew it was not a
In the 90s, he played for Real Zaragoza.
super. But yeah, he became a side didn't he, because of the free kicks. But yeah, and as well, there was some. I was desperately looking for players outside of Brazil and Argentina.
Faustino Asprilla.
Faustino Asprilla.
Carlos Valderrama.
Faustino Asprilla is great. I think when we get onto the batshit mental players, he will be captain and president for life.
Well, there's a Chilean player. There is a Chilean forward I actually want to mention, Marcelo Salas.
Marcelo Salas, yeah, was a good player
in the 90s.
In the 90s, he was a good player in the 90s.
But there was, I mean, if we're talking batshit mental, René Higuita.
Yeah. Actually, he could be brilliant.
When he wanted to be.
He could, he could also just wander 30 yards out of his goal, give the ball away, and give a goal. So, as well,
eccentricity 20.
Exactly. Yeah, Carlos Valderrama, I just didn't see enough of.
Yeah, and when I was looking at Carlos Valderrama, he played a lot of football in MLS.
Yeah, we just did.
And that was early MLS, which no.
And by that point, he was 36 as well. He was,
Yeah, he was a haircut to me.
He
was your haircut currently.
Oh, I wish. But yeah, I really did try, but I just couldn't fit in. I sat there thinking, was Jorge Campos any good?
No, he wasn't.
And then I remembered, no. Also, he was tiny. Do you remember? I know everyone remembers the shirts, but yeah, he was tiny.
Also, when I was thinking
not even tiny for a goalkeeper, tiny for a footballer.
When I was thinking like Uruguay has always had good players. I couldn't think of a single Uruguayan player outside of Recoba.
Not in the 90s. Yeah, if you move on to the 2000s, then yeah. But yeah. If you've ever looked at Jorge Campos, when they do the team picture at the start of the game, he's so small that to make it seem like he's normal height, he stands on the ball. I'm just showing Paul here a picture of him stood on the football.
That's ridiculous.
Because he's tiny. Also, yeah, not very good. Just he's a shirt.
Yeah, he's remembered for a vomit-inducing shirt.
But yeah, and then I started going through like Blanco, the Mexican. But of course, I just know him from one World Cup.
I know him from a trick.
Yeah,
at a World Cup. A trick which served me very well in schoolyard football.
But if you're listening to this and you happen to be like Tim Vickery, please tell us, where we need to start on our journey into sort of South American football. But so you've gone for your team, I'll go for mine. I've gone Chilavert, Cafu Ayala, Lucas Radibi, Roberto Carlos, Okocha, Redondo, Juninho, Rivaldo, Romario, Ronaldo. And a whole lot of fun that would be, but might not be the most disciplined of teams.
And that is red cards waiting to happen.
Red cards,
nightclub incidents.
Juninho would be nice and polite.
Yeah,
but yeah,
the little fella would be all right.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope you enjoy listening to this random waffle.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving us an hour of your time.
Yeah.
And if you do have a differing opinion and you feel there's someone we've criminally missed out on here, please feel free to get in touch and give us your opinion on that. We're on various social media outlets.
It's all in the description of the podcast.
Absolutely. And if you just heard my cat, she's just run in.
Hello.
The podcast cat.
Yes.
So we welcome your opinion. We'd like to get people on to get their opinion, except if the recording is too perfect and we keep it for our own private use. So we look forward to speaking to you when we next speak to you, and our next podcast we will not tell you. We're not going to tell you. You have to listen to know understand what
Yeah,
our next one's going to be.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
waiting gripped.
yeah. Clench for 2 weeks.
But yeah, we've had a bit of time to a bit of a gap, so hopefully there'll be a bit more common coming out now.
Absolutely, more content coming your way. So thank you for listening, and we will speak to you soon. Thank you very much.
Bye.